Audio on demand from Vision Christian Media.
Coming up today on The Story.
I'm praying and God's like, Margie, do you love me? Yes, Lord. How much? 100%, God. He said, okay, sell your house, sell your car, sell everything you own and give it to me. So my father, who wasn't a Christian, was absolutely livid. My daughter's gone to Thailand. She's joined a cult. Now she's selling everything she owns. He was in a mad panic.
The Story.
G'day, I'm Jimmy Colfax. Welcome to The Story. Well, today we have the conclusion of our three-part conversation with Margie Grainger, who's the founder of the Hand to Hand Foundation in Thailand. As we heard previously, Margie was led by the Lord step by step to gradually expand her ministry, to the point that she was eventually able to get all the paperwork done to formally become a foundation. As we heard, the Lord miraculously provided the funds and all the expertise that was needed to make it happen in record time. This allowed Margie to be able to quit her full-time teaching job and work full-time for the ministry. Today we'll hear what happened next as Margie shares more of the amazing ways that the ministry continues to grow. Once again, she's chatting with Eric Scatterbo.
So we became a foundation. And, we're still in this massive warehouse and it's, semi-industrial and we've got food. So that means we have giant mutant rats.
Oh.
And about 2 years pass on and I'm praying and God's like, Margie, do you love me? Yes, Lord. How much? 100%, God. He said, okay, sell your house, sell your car, sell everything you own and give it to me.
Oh, wow.
So my father, who wasn't a Christian, was absolutely livid.
Yeah.
My daughter's gone to Thailand. She's joined a cult. Now she's selling everything she owns. She's going to have nothing for her retirement. He was in a mad panic.
Mm-hmm.
But God said, I promise I'll never leave you. I'll never leave you hungry. I'll never leave you homeless. I'll never leave you thirsty. I'll never leave you. So I sold everything I owned, including my car in Thailand, and we had 4.5 million baht. And God said, go buy a place for hand to hand. So at this point, I have no car, and one of my friends is leaving Thailand, and she said, okay, you have no car, so you can have my sports rider car.
Oh, just gave it to you.
Yeah, like a really big SUV. And I'm like, yeah, I've got a sports rider SUV. And God's like, not your car. Give it away. So I found a missionary family that was desperate for a vehicle and I gave the car away. And then I got a phone call. And this guy calls up and he said, oh, hi, I heard about hand to hand and just wondering, what do you need? And I said, oh, well, actually, I need a fridge. He said, all right, I'll order you a fridge. He said, what else do you want? I said, I need 2 wheelchairs for the slum. He said, okay, I'll order them. You pick them up. What else do you want? And I'm like, do I tell him I want a car? I'm like, no, I want a truck. So I said, I need a truck. And he says, what kind of truck do you want? I said, look, just a really good secondhand truck would be good. He said, I'm not buying garbage. He said, what kind of truck do you want?
Oh, wow.
I'm like, I don't know anything about trucks. So he picked us up, drove us to the Nissan showroom. We drove a brand new Nissan Navara, leather seats, rear view camera off the showroom floor.
Oh, my
We
goodness.
went into the lucky draw and won a 20,000 baht lucky draw as well on a car we never paid for.
And what did you need the truck for?
So that was like for, people are giving us lots of secondhand donations. And even today, a large way that we get clothes and furniture for poor people is we take anything secondhand.
Okay.
So we needed the truck to pick up donations. We needed the truck to get to them from prison because I had no car now
Yeah.
because I'd sold everything.
So bottom line, the bigger the truck, the more donations you could pick up.
Exactly. So now I had 4.5 million and the guy who bought the truck for us, he said, so what else can I do for you? He said, I don't like kids.
Now, who is this guy?
So he was a businessman who had retired, and we meet a lot of people who've retired in Thailand, and they've been very successful business people.
Are these Thai people or international?
No, they're foreigners,
Okay.
international. But because a lot of the times, because they work so hard, they're divorced, they're estranged from their family,
Okay.
they're retired. I have all this money, but what have I done?
Oh, I see.
Where's my purpose?
Yeah. Yeah.
So God brings us across a lot of those kind of people. And that's where a lot of our funding comes, because I look at these people not only as donors, but they're my mission field.
Right,
They're searching.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So the guy says, look, I'm really not interested in children, but what can I do? I said, look, can you go out and look for 4.5 million? I want to be able to buy something that I could call a preschool, because I'm renting 2 sheds side by side in a semi-industrial area. I've got rats. It's not safe.
Yeah.
And I need something bigger. So he goes out and he comes back about 2 weeks later and he says, I found the perfect place. And it's like 12 million baht. And I'm like, yeah, what part of 4.5 did you not understand? So he said, I tell you what, I'll give you 500,000 baht towards the place.
Oh, wow.
So I called the owner and I said, okay, please, sir, I know you want 12 million. I have 5. Can you help me? And the owner says, look, I tell you what, you go raise another 500,000 baht and I'll give you this building for 5.5 if you buy it in the name of the foundation. No problem. So whilst we're trying to raise another 500,000 baht, I got a contact with this building company. And I said to the guy, I said, look, he gave us a 10,000 baht donation. I said, look, can you come and have a look at this building and tell me, if I knock out all these walls, will my building fall down? Because if I can't knock out walls and make, big open spaces,
Yeah.
the building's no good to me.
Right. Right.
And this is a 2-story massive house that's built on a double block. And he came and he looked and he said, yep, you can knock down all those walls, no problem. And if you raise 500,000 baht, I'll do all the renovations for free.
Oh, my goodness.
So these churches that were coming on missions trips, they said, we're not coming. We're going to send you the money that it was going to cost us to come, the airfares, the accommodation, all that money. And we raised 500,000 in 3 months.
Oh, wow.
And this guy came in and he ripped out every electrical wire, rewired the whole place. I mean, he just did everything to proper specifications for preschoolers and renovated the house into a preschool.
Oh, wow.
And that's how we got the preschool where we're in right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we use that building now for preschool. It's also our headquarters. And we also use it for Saturday Kids Club. And we also have a soccer team.
Oh, okay.
And that was a miracle in itself. We got an invitation.
I think my friend, Jenny, our mutual friend, said that there was a remarkable story regarding the soccer team.
Yeah, that was an amazing story. So I got a message from one of the international schools, and the way that I read the message was, hey, we're having a really fun day, and there's going to be food and fair rides and soccer. Do you want to come? And in my picture in my head was that there was going to be all this fun stuff to do, and then there was going to be a soccer match. And if you wanted to play soccer, you could, and if you didn't want to play soccer, you didn't. So I said, yeah, sure, I want to come. So I show up with 30 kids in flip-flops, tracksuit pants to an international school soccer tournament.
Not ideal.
No, some of these kids had never played soccer in their life. Like, they hadn't even seen a game of soccer.
So you hadn't realized what you were getting them into.
No. And so, I taught at 2 of the international schools. And so the TAs from that schools are like, Margie has no idea what's going on. So people were rushing over and getting my kids into teams. And, we're playing barefoot and like we're losing like 20-0. But my kids are having the best time ever because there's
that right?
free Gatorade and there's free oranges.
Oh.
And they've never played soccer in their life before. And there's free flowing food and they're having the best time of their lives. And people are like, who are these kids that lose every game but are so happy?
Yeah.
Right? And so I said, well, we're hand to hand. So we walked out of that day with a coach who was committed to coach us, a sponsor who said, I'll sponsor your soccer kits, and all the international schools who said, we're going to start collecting secondhand soccer shoes for you.
Oh, wow.
So we started the next week with our coach, and we went back to the same soccer tournament 1 year later and picked up the age championship trophy.
Won the whole thing?
Yes, because
How did that happen?
what we lacked in skill, we made up for in stamina. Because after lunch, all these international school kids who we used to aircon everything, they were like, oh, it's hot.
Oh,
It's so hot. We're tired. And my kids from the slum are going, let's go. Let's go. So
They were resilient.
Oh, absolutely. And it was just such a testimony to God. And after that first time that we went and we were losing all the games and we went back and I said to the kids, I said, God has blessed you because of your attitude. You were so thankful. You kept your area clean, and people saw that and they want to reward you. So that really boosted their confidence,
Yeah. 1 year later. That's remarkable. Sounds like a Disney movie or something.
You're listening to The Story. Today, once again, our guest is Margie Grainger, who's the founder of the Hand to Hand Foundation in Thailand. She's sharing her life journey and the amazing ways that God has helped her ministry to grow. Next, we'll hear more of Margie's remarkable story, including more of the miraculous ways that God continues to provide for them and some of the challenges they faced as well. All that and more is coming up when we return.
The Story. If this program has highlighted something you'd like prayer for, we'd love to pray for you. Call 1-800-PRAY-FOR-ME. That's 1-800-772-936. It's a free call. Or text 0401 132 888.
Hi, I'm Jimmy Colfax, and this is The Story. Once again, Eric Scatterbo is chatting with Margie Grainger, who's the founder of the Hand to Hand Foundation in Thailand. She's sharing her life journey and the amazing ways that God has used her and her ministry team to help people in Thailand. Now, here's more of Margie's remarkable stories.
So the foundation's been going 14 years. So about 5 years ago, I got an email and it was from Galveston, Texas. I didn't even know Galveston was a real place. And so I thought, and the email said, what would you do if we gave you $250,000? I'm like, nah, that's spam. So I didn't answer the email.
Yeah.
So they called me and they said, did you get the email? I'm like, yeah. And who are you and how do you know about us? So basically, there was a family who lived in Thailand and their children went to the international school that I was teaching at when Hand to Hand first started.
Yeah.
And they'd returned back to the US and their kid was playing soccer. And one of the other parents said, oh, we haven't seen you here before. Or, what's your name and how are you and where do you come from? So the wife began talking to the other wife about, Hand to Hand, and she volunteered there when she was in Thailand. And they said, they're the kind of things we love to sponsor. Can you give us some more information? So they sent us $250,000.
Oh, my goodness.
And we bought 1,600 square meters of land and built houses for 8 flats, 8 units, side by side for poor families from the slum to come and live in. And then we got a grant from the Irish Embassy. We put in solar. So we're almost 100% reliant on solar.
Oh,
and then
goodness.
We're bringing in these poor families who really, they've got no education. So they can't go and be a waitress. They can't read and write.
Mm-hmm.
So their main occupation is garbage collectors.
Oh, okay.
So, we had some people that were interested in gardening, and the Irish embassy said, well, we'll support the project. We'll give you some money to get it off the ground. So I got this grant to do this garden project. And then I realized, I haven't got a secure water source. Because in Thailand, you may get waters for 5 days a week, but 1 day a week or 2 days a week, there's no water.
Oh, okay.
And I thought, well, how am I going to keep these gardens alive? So I'm praying. And when we bought the land, we prayed over the land and we anointed it with oil and salt and water. And we drove scripture verses and words that God had given us on paddle pop sticks. And we drove those sticks into the ground and we consecrated the land to the Lord. And God said, go back and look at all those things that you wrote on the sticks that you put in the land. And one of those things was rivers of living water would flow forth from the land. So I thought, I wonder if we've got underground water.
Oh.
So we called someone in to come and test. And the guy's literal words were, you have rivers of water underground.
Oh, wow.
So I needed $3,000 to sink this bore. Didn't tell anybody. Went to bed, woke up the next morning, and this lady wrote me an email and said, I don't know why, but God just told me to send you $3,000.
Really? Just out of the blue?
Out of the this is constantly what happens. We step out in faith. We do what God's telling us to do, and then the finances come. And it's just been such an incredible journey with God. And so it builds great faith, So
you've had so many experiences where the Lord has provided. And I love to hear these stories. It's tremendous. But I have to imagine there's been some challenges as well.
Absolutely. We just recently we had a little boy and someone was arrested for overstay. And he was in the process of being sold internationally.
Oh, my goodness. So child trafficking?
As trafficked, child trafficking.
Yeah.
And our goal would be to, get him back into his family. But unfortunately, that's not always possible. So he did go back to China, and we don't know where he is. Sometimes when the police raid a child brothel or something, they put children in our center short term into our housing until they work out where they're going to put them. And they've been there for a week. And when it's time for them to move on, the children are crying and saying, I don't want to go. Please don't make me go. And then you question yourself, giving them a taste of what could be, was that the right or the wrong thing to do?
Well, at least they know there's a different way out there.
And, also, they met the love of Jesus in that 1 week that they were with us.
Yeah.
So, the hardest thing is when our hands are tied and we can't help. We take children in and our goal is to find extended family. Like there's children that we have, parents are in jail or parents have abused them and they can't be in their family.
Yeah.
But, then we go looking for grandma, grandpa. Sometimes that means that we have to do a DNA test. And sometimes we can't find their family. And they're the really hard times when your hands are tied and, we've been in the prison and had sick children in there and there's nothing that we can do to help them. And that's when you have to pray and release them to God. And that sounds, such a holy kind of answer, but it's not easy.
Yeah.
You walk out and...
I mean, you're still human.
Yeah, exactly, And so, there are some days you go home and you just want to cry for the situations that people are in that you can't do anything about.
Well, unfortunately, we're running out of time. And it's great to hear all these wonderful stories of how the Lord is helping you overcome challenges and answer needs and financial needs and miracles and all that. But moving forward, what are some of the things that you're excited about today, and what does the future look like for the Hand to Hand Foundation?
Right now we've just started our adult education program, which means we're starting to educate the mums and dads as well. And, by educating the mums and dads and giving them employment opportunities, now we're giving them financial stability so that they can look after their own kids. Mm-hmm. And so our goal is that, these families that we're helping would become so financially stable that they'll be able to support themselves.
Yeah, that kind of goes back to what you said at the beginning, where you had all these families bringing their kids to the orphanages and giving them up because they wanted their children to have a better future. But now,
yes.
Are you saying that this kind of solves that problem, that if they can provide for their children, then they don't have to give them up for adoption?
That's right, absolutely. And then we can take in more future generations. And spiritually too, it's not just about the physical stuff. It's, we want these people to come to know Jesus. And, so many people and families have come to know the Lord through our ministry that, we have a church on Saturday at our preschool center from 2 till 4. But, we're actually raising up leaders who are going to start small groups in all of the different areas of the slums. So we're now looking at multiplication. And that's what we really want too, is that, as these people begin to see God change their families, change their financial situation, answer prayers, that they begin to share this with other people. And we saw a lot of that begin to happen during COVID, when, a lot of middle-class people became suddenly poor. And the poor that we help were going out and sharing what they had and praying with people. Mm-hmm. And it was just almost like the early gospel times, where the people who were the low caste that had nothing became the people who had something and were going out and praying for people. And we just, we really want to see the gospel and the love of Jesus flow through all the slums and the areas of Pattaya. Because if people can pray and rely on God, then God can answer their needs. Yeah. And they don't need hand to hand to answer every need. Of course, the Bible says, if you have 2 coats, give one away. You don't meet a poor person and go, well, I'm going to pray for you, but still go away hungry. But coming through our programs and everything and seeing God and being restored and being educated and being financially independent and, becoming spiritually aware and believing in Jesus and seeing God answer their own prayers and then going out, so we're raising disciples as well as, repairing families. Mm-hmm.
Now, you are in Australia just briefly, kind of taking a break from being in Thailand and doing the ministry. And I think it is a much deserved break from all the things you told us about. Please promise me that you are going to actually take a break and get some rest and relaxation while you're here.
Yes, well, Noosa is a pretty gorgeous place in Australia, so it was a great place to be.
That's great. Margie Grainger, thank you so much for sharing the remarkable way God has been using you and meeting the needs of people there in Thailand. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us today.
God bless you. Thank you so much.
Well, that was the conclusion of Eric Scatterbo's 3-part conversation with the founder of the Hand to Hand Foundation, Margie Grainger. And it was inspiring to hear how her faith continued to grow as the Lord led her to help others in more and more exciting ways in Thailand. And to think it all started with her visiting a little boy named Tang in jail while she was only a baby Christian herself. But her childlike faith was rewarded as the Lord led her to minister to others in more and more ways and to meet the needs of people in her community. As she mentioned, some of the scripture verses that played a huge role in her life were from Matthew chapter 28, where Jesus says, "Truly I tell you, whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me." And as we heard, Margie and her ministry team have been ministering in various ways to children and their parents who are in desperate situations. May God continue to bless them in their efforts and supply all their needs to do effective ministry work. To find out more about their ministry and how you can get involved, their website is handtohandpatayao.com, and Patayao is spelled P-A-T-T-A-Y-A. Once again, that's handtohandpatayao.com. Well, thanks so much for joining us for this 3-part series focusing on Margie Grainger's story and the story of the birth of the Hand to Hand Foundation. It's quite remarkable how God has been working through that humble ministry. Well, until next time, I'm Jimmy Colfax, encouraging you to share your story with someone today.
The Story. Just another way Vision is helping you look to God daily.
Thanks for taking time to listen to this audio on demand from Vision Christian Media. To find out more about us, go to vision.org.au.